students, so today I wanted to go over the expectations for the Excel assignment. So here's what the assignment looks like, and it's worth a total of 10 points, a total of 20 points. 10 points come from the calculations that you have to put down here, and then 10 points come for journal entries that are required just for year 2023. So please read the instructions carefully. I only require one set of journal entries, and may take points away for not following instructions carefully. So just please provide me the journal entry for 2023, which is the middle year of this project. So this is a situation where we have a long-term contract that takes 3 years to complete. Here's our contract price. So this closely follows the two handouts that I have posted in this module. And so if this doesn't look familiar and you're not quite sure what you're looking at, please review the two handouts and the videos and the solutions that go with those to have a better understanding of what you're supposed to do. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're trying to calculate revenue and gross profit for each of the 3 years of the project. And the steps that I have listed here on the left, again, follow the spreadsheet in the handouts. So first we have to calculate the percent complete, then we have to calculate the revenue that can be recognized to date, and then revenue in the current period, and similarly for gross profit, total gross profit to date, and gross profit in the current period. So one thing that seems challenging for student is what does to date means. So to date means accumulation from the start of the period up until the end of a year that we're looking at. So let's focus on this row here. It says costs incurred to date. So for the first year, 2022, that's accumulation from the beginning of the project until the end of that year, until the end of 2022. So since this is only 1 year that has passed, this cost right here, the 280, pertains only to that 1 year. However, when we go to year 2023, now 2 years have passed. So the project started in 2022, and now we're looking at the end of 2023. And so we accumulate the cost over that period. So this number here, 600,000, includes any cost incurred in 2022 and any cost incurred in 2023. Okay, so that's important. If you need the cost to date, you don't need to add those two numbers because then you're adding 280 kind of twice because it's already including the 600,000. And similarly, in 2024, again, accumulation. So from the beginning of the period, which is 2022, up until the end of 2024. So basically, this number here, the 785, includes the total cost incurred for the whole project because it accumulates the cost in 2022, the cost in 2023, and the cost in 2024. Okay, so if we want cost to date, you don't add the numbers, but if you want the cost for a particular year, let's say I want the cost in 2024, then I need to subtract 600,000, which is the cost for the first 2 years, from the 785, and that'll give me the cost for just 2024. Okay, so I hope that's clear. The two handouts were presented differently because I want you to learn how to handle the given information. If it's presented in different formats, I want you to know what you're doing. So if you notice in the handouts, actually the costs were presented in costs incurred in the given year. So then if you wanted to date, we needed to accumulate and add up. Here, we're presenting in cost to date. Okay, so that's the difference. So when we go down here, where we need to make our calculations, the important point, and actually this is the point of the whole assignment, is to use only formulas here. In the spreadsheet where it's blank and you need to do your calculations. So that if I change any of the information up here, including the contract price, any of the costs, then there will be a recalculation and your spreadsheet will calculate both revenue and gross profit correctly. So to use formula, you basically start with an equal sign. So for example, if I want, so here it says cost expended to date, cost incurred to date. I mean, that's really the same thing, expended and incurred. And so here we just need the 280. So what I'll do is I'll say equal and then basically click on this cell. Okay. Then if I want to make some type of operation, so for example, here we have estimated total cost. To obtain the estimated total cost, I have to add up the cost incurred in the first year plus the cost yet to be incurred. And so I need to add those two numbers together. And so you simply put equal this plus that, and so on. And so if I change the number right here, let's say I add a 0, you see over here, it recalculates it based on that new number. So that is the whole point, and you have to do this thing in the whole spreadsheet. The only place where it's okay to plug in a number is in the first year, but revenue recognized in prior period, that's always a 0 because this is the beginning of the project, we just started, so no revenue has been recognized in any prior year related to this project, and that's always a 0. So even if we type in a 0 here, all the calculations will still be correct if I change the information up here. Okay, so the most challenging part of this exercise is down here to calculate the gross profit. And here's where I have my hint for you. So you may have learned from studying the chapter and going through the handouts that there's a variation in how we account for gross profit for long-term projects using percentage of completion when we have an overall loss or an overall gain. So this is like right here. So we have the estimated total gross profit. So if I put a formula here, that's equal to the contract price minus the total cost. So that's by definition. We press enter. And so we look at this number, and if this number is positive, then we multiply by the percent complete. However, if this number is negative, so let's see how we're gonna get a negative number. So if my costs are too high. So you see now it shows me a negative number. That's why it's in brackets. So my total gross profit on this project is a loss, is negative. And the reason is because my total costs exceed the contract price. And so if this is the case, then we do not multiply by the percent complete. We have to book the whole loss. And so what we put in here varies based on is this number positive or is this number negative. And so you have to put in a condition. And one easy way to do that is using an if formula. And I want you to figure this out on your own, so I won't tell you. But the idea here is that the syntax is as follows. And actually, if you put if, it kind of tells you. You see right here, it tells you, so if logical test, and then value if that logical test is true, and value if that logical test is false. So your logical test is if this number is positive or negative, and if it's positive, you want it to multiply by the percent complete, but if it's negative, so the logical test it fails, which is when this number is negative, then you want to book the whole. You don't want to multiply by the percent complete. You want to book the whole loss over here. So this is where I would like you to make a spreadsheet so that, again, if I change any of the numbers, so let me go and undo everything. So if I change any of the numbers and make this be a profit or a loss, I wanted to calculate it correctly in both situations. Okay. And like I said, so this is worth 10 points. I'm going to test it, make sure, like I'm going to play with this given information and make sure that it recalculates it correctly. So only use formulas here. So equal and then pick the cells and appropriate operations. And so that's worth 10 points. And then the other 10 points will come from journal entries, which you'll put in the second spreadsheet. And again, I want the journal entries for only 2023. And you have a total of 4 journal entries. So that will be for the actual costs. But again, notice that when we do journal entries, we only journalize for the costs in the current year, the billings in the current year, the cash collections in the current year. And the information here, it's all presented to date. So as I explained earlier, to get, for example, here, the billings for just the second year, you need to remove the billings in the prior year because they're included because it's to date accumulation. So you have a journal entry for the cost incurred, the billings, and the cash collections. And then finally, based on your calculation here, I need also a journal entry to recognize the revenue and the gross profit. So I'm looking for a total of 4 journal entries for 2023. Okay, so I hope that explains it for you and you're very clear.